for joining us today for this webinar. Today we're going to be discussing the QuoteWerks integration with Autotask. So we're actually going to do a brief demonstration on how the integration works, the different integration points, and kind of the workflow for the integration. So that's all going to be available today. We are going to be recording this webinar, so if you have to leave early or you came in late, we will be posting this on the website. We'll send out an email link as well so that everyone has access to it that way as well. The link will be posted on our website as well as our YouTube channel. So we're going to go ahead and get started. As I go through, I'll try to answer questions as they come up. If I don't get to your question, I do apologize. I'll try to answer as many as possible. If not, we'll try to do some sort of follow-up, or we can answer any questions you have after the meeting. There'll be some time typically where we can answer some of those, as well as we'll do a follow-up. So if you want to send us an email or just have us contact you, just let us know and we can do that. So just some background on QuoteWerks for anyone who's not too familiar with it. We are the market-leading sales quoting and proposal solution. We have over 70,000 users in over 100 countries, so we have quite a expansive list of current customers. We also have over 20 years of experience, so it is a product that has been around for over 20 years, which means that we've been developing and refining it for 20 years. So it is always a work in progress. It is something that we're always trying to expand and make better with every release. So today we're going to just kind of go over a short PowerPoint presentation of the QuoteWerks integration into Autotask, so just some of the major points to kind of focus on once we get to the demonstration portion. We're also going to have a couple diagrams that you guys can view, so if you're kind of wondering what the workflow is between QuoteWerks and Autotask, we'll discuss that, as well as our Valet Web integration. That's something that's fairly new. A lot of users do have Valet, but they're not too familiar with Valet Web, so we'll have a very short discussion and some slide information on that, so you guys can review that as well. So our Autotask integration is going to be comprised of 6 main integration points. You're going to have your contact support, your opportunity support, be able to create and update Autotask quotes so we can actually write the line items into Autotask. We can pull items from the Autotask databases. So if you use the product, services, and labor databases, we're actually able to pull items from those databases into QuoteWerks. We also have our peer support for Autotask, which is pretty new. This came out just a few months ago, and this will actually allow you to pull items from QuoteWerks and then submit the items to a purchase order and then actually create that purchase order in Autotask. So we'll actually be demonstrating that here in a few minutes. We also have our notification support. This is a fairly new feature as well, where if you create an opportunity in Autotask and you set a specific status, you can actually use it kind of as like a placeholder, so that it's a reminder that when you go into QuoteWerks, you click on your QuoteWerks dashboard, there'll be a notification there letting you know you need to create a quote for that opportunity. So we'll go over how to set those up today so you guys can kind of see any of those settings. So our integration points are going to have two of the biggest ones are going to be our contact search and our opportunity support. The contact search is going to provide you with the ability to search for any contacts that are currently in Autotask and pull them into your QuoteWerks document. This isn't an import. It's not a sync. You're simply going to do a live search between QuoteWerks and Autotask. So it makes it very easy to locate a contact and pull them into QuoteWerks. You can search by the account name, account number, contact name. All that information is available. Additionally, we're going to be adding a new feature here in, I'm not sure if it's going to be in the next release in Build 10 or the one right after that, but we're actually going to be able to create the contacts from QuoteWerks and write them into Autotask. That is a feature that a lot of you have been asking for previously. That's going to be available to you now, so you can actually see, or you can actually take contacts that you create in QuoteWerks and deliver them into Autotask without having to go into Autotask manually. So it's a pretty cool feature that is coming and going to be ready here pretty quickly. For our opportunity support, we're able to create new opportunities. So if you don't have an opportunity created for that customer yet or that account and you need to create one, we'll be able to do that in QuoteWerks. On the flip side, if you had already created that existing opportunity, we can link to it and take ownership of it. So it basically means QuoteWerks will take over that opportunity and update it with the information from the QuoteWerks document. Additionally, we can create Autotask account notes in that opportunity. So if you need to put a reminder or just a note about that specific opportunity, you'll be able to do that, and there's even a prompt for you in QuoteWerks to do that before you actually create and finalize that opportunity in Autotask. So for our Autotask quotes, we can actually take the line item information from QuoteWorks and put that into an Autotask quote. This is important because a lot of you that do use the Autotask opportunities, you want to have that line item information associated with your opportunity. We're going to be able to automate that process where we're going to create that Autotask quote for you. We'll update it, so if you do make changes or the customer comes back with revisions, we'll be able to update it as well. A lot of those items can be added to the Autotask database. So if you are adding new products that you don't have in your Autotask products database, we'll actually write that information into Autotask for you as well. Using those Autotask databases, we can actually pull items from there. So if you wanted to strictly pull items from Autotask, your products, your services, your labor databases, we have direct links with them so that we can actually pull that information into QuoteWorks. Again, similar to our contact search where you don't have to do any importing or syncing. We're just going to do a live search from those databases and pull that information into QuoteWorks. So it makes it very easy. So you don't have to maintain a database in QuoteWorks and also Autotask. You can just continue to maintain your items in Autotask, and we'll be able to pull them into QuoteWorks. You don't have to do it that way. That doesn't have to be your only option, but it is available. It's a nice feature to have. The PO support, which is a fairly new feature here, this is going to let you submit your purchase order that you've taken in QuoteWorks and then send it over to Autotask. So if you're using Autotask for your purchase orders, you can actually send that QuoteWorks order directly to Autotask. You can even mark the items as received. So it's a pretty cool new feature, and we'll be demonstrating how that works as well. And then the notification support, which we just kind of touched on, this is going to allow you to kind of set those placeholders for your opportunities, just to give yourself a nice reminder that you need to create that quote for that specific opportunity in QuoteWorks. And then again, this is something we'll cover here in just a moment. So we get questions a lot. What is the workflow between QuoteWorks and Autotask? And a lot of people like to see flowcharts. They want to see a visualization of this. So what we have here is basically how you're going to use QuoteWorks with Autotask. You would simply select your contacts, select your products and services for sourcing. We're then able to deliver the quote or the proposal to the customer. The customer would then accept. If you're using Valet, they can even make payment. So you can actually accept your credit card or PayPal payments through Valet if you're using that. That will then trigger QuoteWorks to convert that quote to an order, which will then update the opportunity as closed by default. Now you can change that status, which I'll show you as well. That's going to be the main focus, is that you're going to select that contact, select the items that you're selling to the customer, deliver the document, have the customer sign off on it, and then we'll update the opportunity in Autotask. Now where a little bit of this has changed is that if you are going to use Autotask for your purchasing, then you'll go back into Autotask and you'll run the one opportunity wizard for any opportunities that QuoteWorks has updated as closed or won, whatever terminology you're using. If you're using QuoteWorks to create the purchase order in Autotask, then you'll continue where we'll be able to resource the product information from like the distributor. So if pricing has changed, or maybe it's been a couple months between when you delivered the quote to the customer and the customer has actually accepted it, you can actually go back and check pricing, making sure everything's still valid. Then we can actually place the order. So if you're using Ingram Micro, Synex, Tech Data, D&H, we can actually place the order electronically through QuoteWorks. And then we'll actually deliver this to the distributors. And at that point, we'll also create the purchase order. Now, we'll create the purchase order whether you're using the distributors or not. That's just an extra piece that's available. So if you just wanted to simply create the PO in Autotask from QuoteWorks and not place the order electronically, that's an option as well. But so we'll be able to create the PO. If you are using QuickBooks or Sage 50 for your purchase orders instead, we can actually submit the purchase order through one of those two accounting programs instead. And then once it's been created, we can actually track that purchase order information. So we can actually mark items as received. We can add serial numbers. We can add tracking information. If you would place the order electronically with Tech Data, Ingram Micro, Synex, or D&H, we'll actually have that real-time tracking information from the distributors in the purchase order, and I'll show you how that information would look once we get there as well. So this is actually a screenshot of the purchasing screen. So if you had submitted a purchase order through QuoteWorks, whether you're sending it to Autotask or whether you just want to be able to track information in QuoteWorks, this is a screen that you'll spend your time on where you can actually put in that tracking number. You'll see there's an option for tracking numbers and serial numbers, and there's even a spot to mark items as received. So if you're using one of the distributors such as Ingram Micro, Tech Data, Synex, and D&H, we'll actually update this information in real time from those distributors with like the shipping information, so the tracking numbers, serial numbers, which warehouse it shipped from, that type of information. If you're not, that's okay, because you can actually add this information in manually as well. So if you wanted to add all your tracking numbers to your items that you're processing with different vendors, you'll be able to update that information in here as well. So you can use QuoteWorks to kind of track that information if you'd like. So Valet Web is part of your Valet subscription. So if you're using Valet, you already have access to this. It's basically the reporting engine for Valet. It's at no additional charge in your Valet subscription. So again, if you already have Valet, you have access to Valet Web. But this will basically allow you to do some simple and more advanced reports on your Valet documents. So any documents you submit to Valet, you'll actually have your executive dashboard, which will give you more information about kind of on a per rep basis and on a timely basis what your reps are doing. You also have your comparative analysis. You can compare your reps against each other, how many quotes they've created, how many orders they've converted, that type of information. We also have a My Summary, so it's more of a sales rep facing side, so your reps can actually go in and look at the documents and see kind of their status on their documents in Valet Web. We also have our status board. We actually use this in our office. Very useful if you have multiple reps in a single location and they're helping each other out with quotes and things like that, or if you just want to create a little friendly competition, you can actually put the status board up on a large monitor so the reps can see what other reps are doing. Oh, this person had the largest quote this week, or this one has a large order this month. That information would be available to them. So it's kind of a cool feature that's included already in Valet Web. You also have some of your more basic features, so you can find documents in Valet Web. You have your inbox, which is just like your Valet notification inbox, so you can see your notifications in there. We also have peer reviews and approval support through Valet Web. So if you're out of the office, but your documents are being reviewed and approved in Valet Web, or in Valet rather, you can actually go to Valet Web to view those approvals and peer reviews and actually make your comments or even approve the documents through there. This is just a larger screenshot of the dashboard, so you can kind of get a feel for what it would show. So it's going to display primarily your priority notifications. You can actually see that information here. And then another feature that comes with Valet is a shopping cart. Again, something fairly new, where you can actually create a document for your customer to go through and purchase specific items that you've set up for them, so you don't have to create a quote for them each time. Very useful if you ever do any kind of reordering for your customers. You can set that information up. Miguel sent over a question. He's asking, QuickWorks can export products from Autotask. Can it also import? Miguel, you could import products from Autotask if you got them into an Excel sheet or something like that, a CSV file. However, because we link directly to the Autotask products, services, and labor databases, there is no need to import it. You could if you wanted to, but you don't have to. We can link directly to that in QuoteWorks. If you have some questions or would like some assistance getting those links set up, just contact our sales guys. You can just contact us, give us a call, and we'll tell you, we can give you the information on how to set it up. It's pretty simple, won't take very long. That actually brings us to our next section here, which are our website resources. So we have a lot of great resources on our website, so if you do have questions like that, feel free to go to our website. We do have videos that will show you how to set up the Autotask integration, how to use the Autotask integration, as well as other feature videos that you might be interested in. We also have our online help file. This has replaced our PDF manual. So a lot of you may have noticed that there no longer is a PDF manual under the help file. It's actually going to be this, or the help menu, this online help file is now available. Basically, just the online version of our PDF file makes it a lot easier to search. You can search by keyword. There's an index for it. Just much easier to manage and much easier to locate what you're looking for in QuoteWorks. And as always, we go to events usually once or twice a month. We're going to be going to the ASCII events and also GFI Max here in Orlando in the next couple weeks, as well as IT Nation and a few others. So if you're going to any of those events, definitely stop by the booth. If you have questions for us, we'd be more than happy to answer them for you. If you do have any events that you think we would be a good fit for or you'd like to see us at, let us know. Send us an email to qwsales@quoteworks.com. We'd be happy to entertain and look at any events and see if it'd be a good fit for us. Additionally, feel free to follow us on social media. So we are on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So if you aren't connecting with us there, feel free to do so. We post a lot of information, new features, webinars, a lot of information, events that we're going to be at. So that's all available on the different social channels. We also have our QuoteWorks forums, which are available on the website. So if any of you like to interact with some other QuoteWorks users, LinkedIn and our forums are a great place for that, so you can actually submit questions and have other QuoteWorks users answer them for you, or discuss kind of how you're doing things in QuoteWorks. So before we go to our demonstration here, we're going to go to our website real quick. So I just wanted to show you where you can find that online help file. So if you do want some information on setting up the Autotask integration, you can go to our website, so just QuoteWerks.com, and simply click on Support. And this will bring us to the support screen. So you're not actually going to click on the drop-down. You're just going to click on the word Support, and then you'll see there's a Help System link. And if you click on that, that'll open up your help file. So you can actually view the help file, and you can find exactly the information you're looking for. You'll see here, there's Chapter 9 is going to be where Autotask is. So you can do a search for it. There's an index as well. But if you just click on Chapter 9, you'll see there's a Contact Management Integration, and then there's an Autotask section, and that'll bring you right to the Autotask setup. So you can actually click directly on that to get to the Autotask setup, and that'll have all the information about setting up the integration. The one on the website is going to be the most up-to-date, so even if you haven't updated your QuoteWorks, if you want to visit the help file on our website, that's going to be the most up-to-date version of essentially the manual for QuoteWorks. And I'm just looking at a question from Chris. He's asking if we can cover the workflow for winning quotes with Autotask. Yes, Chris, we're actually going to go through that here in just a moment, so you have good timing. We'll actually show you how to update that information. All right. So let's go ahead and go into QuoteWorks, and we'll get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is you always want to make sure you set up your Autotask integration. So as we release new features for Autotask, whether you have QuoteWorks currently or you're evaluating QuoteWorks, if you haven't set up the Autotask integration, you can do that very simply under Contacts, Set Up Contact Manager, and then we're going to click on Autotask. So mine's obviously already going to be selected because I've already set it up. You'll put in your Autotask username and password, and then you'll simply click on Autotask Setup. And this is going to bring up your Autotask Setup window. So you can see here it's actually pulling information from Autotask into QuoteWorks, and now you can go through and make your different selections. So these are basically the defaults that you're going to set. I'm not going to go through all of them today, but we are going to walk through just some of the newer functionality here. Specifically on our Settings tab, we have the ability to set Autotask as for our purchase order. So if you're not using an accounting software, you want to use Autotask as your purchase order integration, just make sure you set that on your Settings tab. If you want us to be able to mark the items as received in Autotask, check this box as well. Otherwise, when we mark an item as received in QuoteWorks, it won't update in Autotask. So just make sure you've set that setting. Below it, you'll see is the notifications option. This is where we're going to get into our dashboard, and we can see any opportunities that have been set with a specific stage to see if I need to create the opportunity. Now, I have mine set for stage 2, but you could change this in Autotask. You could create a status in Autotask specifically that says new quotes or something similar, and that would allow you to, or needs quote rather, and that would allow you to, anytime an opportunity is set with that status, it'll show up as a notification in QuoteWorks for your user. So if we go ahead and we'll click OK, and now we'll go ahead and click on our notifications window. So we get there by clicking on our dashboard, our QuoteWorks dashboard here, and this will bring up our dashboard window. So it's going to actually go out and see if there's any opportunities that have been created in Autotask under my username. So whoever you're logged in as Autotask, under that username, it's going to show you those opportunities with that specific status under your notification. So again, you'll want to set that up previously, just because if you don't set it up, then you won't have that option here. So let's go ahead and just center our screen here. So you can see on the right-hand side, I now have these notifications. And I can actually click on either view the opportunity in Autotask, or I can create the quote for the Autotask opportunity. Now, if I did that, what that would allow me to do is once I've added my items and products, services, everything to that document, and then I save it, I can then update that stage or that status in Autotask so that it removes this notification for me. So as long as you're using those notifications, you might just want to create a specific one that says needs quote or something of that nature. So let's go ahead and start with the new document in QuoteWorks. So we're going to start brand new, so you can kind of see the integration from start to finish. This probably, I do have a couple questions, so we'll go ahead and we'll pause just for a moment here. Marley has a good question asking if you can change the vendor before a PO is delivered to Autotask. You'll actually select QuoteWorks will prompt you to select the correct vendor when you are submitting it to Autotask. So that's available for you. And Tom is asking if we can see all opportunities that need a quote in QuoteWorks. Currently, no, but that is a good feature suggestion if that's something that we could turn on. Right now, it's just going to be strictly based on your user or whoever the user set for QuoteWorks and in Autotask. But that is a good suggestion. That's something that we can look at. I'll actually mark it down and see if that's something that we could add in the future. So let's go ahead and start with a brand new document, and we're going to start opening this up and using the Autotask integration. So we're going to start in the Sold To, Shipped To tab. So we want to select our contact first. We want to select the contact from Autotask that we want to create the opportunity for. So you can do that by clicking on your magnifying glass here on the Sold To, Shipped To tab. And then you can search by your account name, first name, last name, phone, account ID, or account number. So I'm going to go ahead and search by account name. I'm just going to use our company, which is Aspire Technologies. Type that in, and then we'll select the contact that we want to create this document for. So we're going to go ahead and select Joshua here, and then we're just going to select all. You don't have to populate all 3 fields if you don't like. The Sold To is kind of like your default field in QuoteWorks, so you do want to make sure you fill out the Sold To. But if you want to use the other fields for different information, if it is shipping to a different location or billing to a different location, that's fine. You can use those different contacts or even different companies for those fields. But this is who we're going to create the opportunity for. This is the email address we're going to use to deliver the document. It's who the document's going to be created for in QuoteWorks. So you do always want to make sure you fill out the Sold To field. Once we've selected our contact, we can now start building our document in QuoteWorks. So I'm just going to go ahead and build a quick document out. We'll use a couple heading lines. So if I right-click on my document item screen, there's an option for Insert Heading. This is just going to allow me to kind of organize my document for my customer before I start adding items to it. So it's going to make it a little easier for me and also my customer. So we'll do hardware, services, and say optional items here. All right, so let's get rid of that extra line. So now we can start adding our items to our document. So in order to do this, we're going to click on our products icon here. And this is going to bring up our product lookup screen. Let me center that in the screen for you so it's a little easier to view. And this is going to allow us to search for items to add to our document. Now, if you are pulling items from D&H, Synex, Tech Data, Ingram Micro, you can search them directly in QuoteWorks via Utilize. So Utilize is an add-on to QuoteWorks. It's our product content subscription, but this will allow you to pull your products from those 4 distributors into QuoteWorks. And let me see here. It looks like we have another question. That's a good question, Greg. Greg's asking if you have to have Autotask open to pull contacts. You don't, Greg. That's a really good question. If you are just in QuoteWorks, you haven't logged into Autotask yet today, but you're ready to create a quote for a customer, or maybe you checked your dashboard and you saw there's a notification there. When you launch QuoteWorks and you do something to trigger the integration, such as search for a contact, it'll actually log you in on the back end through QuoteWorks, so you can actually pull that information in. Yeah, so you don't actually have to go to Autotask to log in first before you can search contacts and start creating opportunities or anything like that. So we'll go ahead and we'll search for an item to pull into our document here from Utilize. I'm going to go ahead and double-click in here and just pull from one of my pre-selected items, and click Find, and we'll locate that item from Utilize. So if you've never seen Utilize, this is going to allow you to get not only product content, so you can get the product pictures, customer-friendly descriptions, but also let you upsell, and you can cross-reference the other distributors all in one spot. So it's a really cool feature. So if it's something you don't have, let us know. We'd be happy to set you up with a trial or let you know how it works. And this is going to use your account credentials through the distributors to actually get your pricing and availability. So we can actually pull this information. Another question, do we need internet to pull information from Autotask? Yes, you do. Since Autotask is obviously an online CRM system, if you don't have access to the internet, you won't have access to be able to pull contact information or update the opportunity in Autotask. We do have an offline mode that QuoteWorks can operate in if necessary. So if you need to build the quote out, or maybe you're on an airplane and you lost your internet connectivity, you can still build out the quote in QuoteWorks if your items are local or if you're putting them in manually. But then once you have regained connection with the internet, you'll be able to reconnect them. And that's something I'll show you here in just a moment as well. Greg, I don't think you'll have an issue. But before answering that, I would go ahead and go ahead and contact tech support, support@QuoteWerks.com, or you can give us a call, and they should be able to tell you if there's any limitations to that, but I don't believe so. So once you've selected your item and you're ready to source it from your distributor, you can simply double-click on the distributor or click Select Add to add that item to the document. You can also locate items by clicking on the Accessories tab, which will be broken down into different categories. So if you wanted to choose additional options, you can include those here as well. It's going to look very similar to the last tab we were just on, where we can actually pull pricing from those distributors so you can see which vendors you want to source it from. So all this information is available in our real-time and Utilize integration. Now, one of the main reasons I wanted to show you this is because we also have this integration available with the Autotask databases. So if we go down on the left-hand side, and you'll see we have our Autotask Labor, our Autotask Products, and our Autotask Services database. So if you click on your Autotask Products databases, you can search by the description or the manufacturer part number for a specific item. So if you're looking for an item and you know the keyword, or you know what the part number begins with, or what the line item contains, you can type that in. Or if you click Show All, it'll actually populate all the items that are in the Autotask database. Now, this is something to keep in mind. If you have, 100,000 items in your Autotask Products database, it's probably going to take a minute for it to load, so just keep that in mind, that it may be quicker at that point to do some type of search rather than doing show all and looking for all those items. David had a quick question. He said, he asked if the trial would allow you to test data and the Ingram micro integration as well as Newegg Dell and all the other vendors that we support. Yes, it will. If you get set up with a real-time and product content subscription trial, you can actually test out all the distributors that we support as well as the other vendors where we provide list pricing, such as like Newegg, CDW, Dell, ProVantage, Staples, all those. So that would be available for you as well. And again, if I don't get to your question, because we do have a bunch coming in here, I do apologize. This will be recorded, and we'll try to follow up with you guys, or send us an email. We'd be happy to discuss any other questions you guys have. So if you look here, we have quite a few different items in our database here. So if we go through and you're looking for a specific item, you can pull it up. If you hold Control, you can add multiple items to your document. Now, one of the nice things about QuoteWorks is our integration with the distributors, which is available through the Autotask Products database as well. So you'll see there's actually an Utilize Panel button. So if I turn this on, I can actually go through, and give ourselves a little more room here. I can actually go through my different products, and if I selected one, it'll actually click on it. So let's go to, so if we click on this item, it'll actually go out to Utilize and see if it can locate this specific item and get pricing from our distributors. So if you have the item's part number of the manufacturer, you can actually go out, get that item's product information. So it's a pretty cool feature that allows you to kind of check pricing before you even go out to your distributors without having to specifically look for the item, or if you know you had sold it recently and you just want to update it, you'll be able to do that. So it's a nice thing to have here. And like I said, very easy. Simply click on your item, and then you can get your pricing and availability from that particular vendor. So for this one, we're probably just going to source a couple items from our Autotask product database. Millie's asking, what Canadian distributors do you support? We do support Ingram Micro, Tech Data, Synex, and D&H for Canada. There's a couple other ones that we don't have Utilize support for just because they're not part of it, but we can import their price files. For a full list, just go to our website, go to the distributors page, and it'll show you an entire list of the distributors that we support. Yeah, for Edelweiss, it's going to be the main four. It's going to be Ingram Micro, Tech Data, Synix, and D&H for Canada as well. So we're going to go through here. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, and then we'll just select a couple items to add to our document, and click Select Add, update our quantity, and then we'll go ahead and we'll drop this into our different sections here. And we'll say this is going to be in one of our optional items. So your Autotask Services database is going to work very much in the same way, where we're actually going to click Show All, and this will show our different services that we have available, and then we can actually go through and make our selection. So we'll go ahead and we'll select these two, and then click Select Add, and we'll add this under our Services section in our document, and you can see the item show up there. So very easy, again, to link to these Autotask databases. So if you already have them set up and you just want to link to them, you can do that in QuoteWerks. There's no need to do any kind of importing. You can if you'd like, but you don't have to. Again, like I said, if the items do have the manufacturer part number and a manufacturer in like your Autotask products database, the Utilize integration is available, or the product content subscription is available, rather, and that'll let you get product pictures. You can check pricing with the other distributors, kind of check all that information before you actually add that particular item to your document. If you did want to set up your own database in QuoteWerks, that's available as well. Same thing with services. You can add a services database if you'd like. So now that we have our items on our document, let's go ahead and go to our document. So once you've made changes to it, if you need to adjust pricing or anything like that, you can do that here. But now we're ready to, everything looks good, so we want to send this information to our Autotask opportunity. We're ready to send this information over to Autotask. So the trigger for this in QuoteWerks is always going to be on the Save. So when I click Save, that's not only going to save my document in QuoteWerks, it's also going to write the information into Autotask. Now you can see here it actually lets me know I'm in offline mode. So it goes back to our question earlier, where if you don't have internet access, essentially what can you do? If you set yourself to offline, you can still save your quote in QuoteWerks. That way you don't lose anything that you've already done. But in order to integrate it with Autotask, you do need to be in online mode. So we'll go ahead and click Online. And then this is going to give us the option to create the sales opportunity, create the link document, create the Autotask quote so we can write the line items in there, and you can also create an account note. So if you need to put some information in that specific opportunity, you'll have that option as well. So to do that, let's simply click OK. And we're going to want to create one of each of those. So the first thing it's going to do in QuoteWorks is it's going to go ahead and save our quote. So you can see here it's applied our document name, and then there's our document number. The reason I'm pointing this out is by default, this is going to be your naming convention for your opportunities in Autotask. So if you want to change these settings, you can. It's under the Tools options in QuoteWorks. But by default, you can even see here, this is going to be our opportunity name. So the company that we're selling to, today's date, and our document number. Again, if you want to use some different naming format, you can do that. You just need to make that setting adjustment in QuoteWorks. So from here, we can actually see that we can create a new Autotask opportunity, or if you click on the drop-down, you'll actually be able to select an existing opportunity that you already had created. Now, if you had created an opportunity or launched an opportunity from the QuoteWorks dashboard, from that notification, it will already default to that opportunity in Autotask. So you won't have to go in here and select it. But since I started with a blank quote, it's prompting me to go ahead and create a new one or link to an existing one. Since we're doing a demonstration of this functionality, we're going to go ahead and create a blank one to start with, so a brand new opportunity in Autotask. Here I can set the owner. So if you're creating this opportunity on someone else's behalf, maybe they're out of the office, so you're covering for that, you can actually change the owner in Autotask of that opportunity so they get credit for the sale because you're that nice of a person. You can also set the stage here. So if you wanted to update the stage, you can do that. So again, this is important if you are using those notifications in QuoteWorks, those dashboard notifications. Your stage is going to be defaulted to probably like need quote or something, whatever you would set here. So you'll want to adjust this and at least set maybe proposal review or proposal center, whatever notifications or whatever stages you want to set, you can do that. And then your status will be default to active, and then you can change your close date, your probability, rating, and information name. I have a question about tracking services or items we sold in the past. Yes, you can actually view any document you've previously sold to a customer or created for a customer in QuoteWorks under the Open window. So under the File Open, if you wanted to view previous documents, you could do a search by customer, even by contact name if you wanted to drill down that far and see what you had sold them previously. You could also run a report on that information if you wanted to. You'll also see there's an Attachments tab in this opportunity window. And what this will allow you to do is attach additional documentation to this opportunity in Autotask. So if you wanted to include maybe a spec sheet, or maybe the customer sent you an RFP or an RFQ and you want to attach it to the opportunity in Autotask, you can do that here. If you have anything that's attached to the Links tab from QuoteWorks, you can actually add that information here. So you'll see there's an option for adding Links tab files. Or if you just click Add Files, it'll let you navigate in Windows for the document that you want to attach to that opportunity. So we'll go ahead and we're just going to save our document now. So we're going to click Save or Save our opportunity. So the first thing you're going to see, it's going to walk you through the different steps. It's actually going to say, we're creating the opportunity, we're creating the linked document. Now it's prompting us to create the Autotask quote. So again, this is going to look very familiar to our quote name before, so our opportunity name. Again, just our default naming convention that we're using, so you can adjust that. So that's going to be our Autotask quote name. This is going to be our quote description. The quote number is unsaved because we haven't created the Autotask quote yet, so it hasn't been saved yet. And then we can set the specific dates, and you can even put in a comment if you like. You can even see there's basically an external quote, and that's the QuoteWorks quote number, so that you have that reference available. So if you wanted to look it up in QuoteWorks, you'll be able to do that. So we'll go ahead and we'll click Save. It's going to create that quote in Autotask, and then you can see it's just going to go through and start writing the line items into Autotask for me. And then once it's complete, we'll go ahead and we'll go into Autotask to update that information. Now, one thing to keep in mind is it doesn't send the tax information over into the Autotask quote, so always look at your subtotals, not your grand total, because it's not going to include shipping or tax information in the Autotask quote. So if you're looking, your numbers don't look the same, that's why the tax information just isn't flowing over, because it's just a quote in Autotask at that point. This is where you can create that Autotask account note. So if you wanted to set some type of opportunity update or call or meeting, or just put a note, you can put that information in here. You can create more than one. If you do Save and New, that'll let you create multiple ones. Just need to create the one. You can do Save and Close. If you don't want to create any, simply hit Cancel, and it won't create it in Autotask. So now that we've created that opportunity in Autotask, let's go ahead and view the information, see how it's sent over. So we're going to go into our web browser, go to Autotask, and let's go to our opportunities here. I'll give you guys a second to catch up on my screen. So we have our opportunities listed here. And so here's the opportunity we just created. So you can see here, makes it easy since we do it by the date for our document name. We can see it's this one here. And let's go ahead and click on this. We're going to open this opportunity. Let me center this for you guys so it makes it a little easier to view. So the first thing you'll notice, you're going to have your typical Autotask opportunity information. So everything that you've set in your previous, when we were creating that opportunity, is going to flow over into this Autotask opportunity. The next thing you'll see is that we have the attachments. We have our QuoteWorks document. So we actually upload a QuoteWorks document to this. This would also be where we attach those to different files. So when you created that opportunity and you clicked on the Attachments tab, if you had included any other files, those would be here under this Attachments tab. And then if we click on our quote items, this is the Autotask quote. So this is how we can send those Autotask items directly from QuoteWorks into Autotask. So everything looks great. It goes over correctly. We'll go ahead and go back to QuoteWorks and let's deliver this document to the customer. Because that's going to be the next step, is that look everything over. You can see it's there. You don't actually have to check this each time. It's just something that I do during demonstrations. You can go straight from, you've saved it, it's created the opportunity in Autotask. Let's go ahead and deliver it to the customer. Let's go back into QuoteWorks, click on our Deliver option, and then you're going to select the output for the document here. So you're going to select your output. This is my demonstration machine, so I have quite a few different document templates that you can select from, your different layouts. I'm just going to go ahead and select a pretty basic one here that we can deliver to the customer. So you can preview it. If you're using Quote Valet, this is now where you can use the Quote Valet integration to deliver it electronically. One of the nice things about this is that you're actually going to receive those notifications on the document. So let's go ahead and upload this to Quote Valet. You can see here we do have approvals in QuoteWorks. So if you're using QuoteWorks or evaluating and you want to be able to approve your documents before they go out to your customers, you can set those up in QuoteWerks, and those are based on a per user setting. So if you wanted to set it up for one user has different settings than another user, you can do that. You can also clone different settings so users can share the same amount as well. Just looking through a couple questions here. Yes, there's a question if the tax is set as Y in QuoteWorks, so it basically means that an item is set as taxable. Yes, you can set items as non-taxable. You can even set them up by default, picking from the databases. It's in your settings. If you'd like some more information on how to set that up, just let us know. Send us an email, or we can follow up with you and tell you exactly how to set that up. But yes, that is an option if you wanted to set your items as not taxable by default instead of that they are taxable. So let's go ahead and upload our document to QuoteValet first. So we'll go ahead and click Upload. And then typically you would preview it before delivering it to the customer, but we're going to go ahead and click on Send Email. You can see here, since we're using QuoteValet, there's no attachment. We're just going to include the document link here. So let's go ahead and click on our document link. So we're going to open up our quote. And so we're going to email this to the customer. We're going to pretend we're the customer. So the customer receives our document. Everything looks great. They have a copy of their PDF available, so if they need to print this out, or if you had service information, terms and conditions, warranty information that were included, or anything on the link tab that you wanted to include it, those would be tied in with your PDF as well. So that's going to be available for your customer to view. And the customer can come down here, and now they can accept the document. Once the customer has electronically signed or just accepted the document, then you can update the information in Autotask. So since we're pretending we're the customer, we're going to go ahead and accept this document. You can put in a PO number if you'd like. You don't have to. It's just going to be the customer's kind of PO number reference. So it's not going to be like a PO number for the distributors or internal. It's just to let you know the customer is the customer's PO number, not like a QuoteWorks or Autotask PO number. If they have any comments, they can put those here, and then they can actually place their sign off on this document. So we'll go ahead and sign off on this document, click to accept. And then the really nice thing about QuoteValet is that you will receive notifications via QuoteValet. So the first time the customer views a quote, you'll receive an email notification. If the customer looks at the document a second time, we'll actually post a notification in the QuoteValet dashboard for you. If they accept the quote, you'll receive an email notification. If they make payment on the document, you'll receive an email notification as well. If you set different options for them to select, that'll be updated in QuoteWorks as well. Okay, and it looks like that was the exact question Miguel just asked, was if he sends a quote to a customer, can QuoteWorks alert me when client looks at quote? Yes, if you're using QuoteValet, when you deliver the quote via QuoteValet, we'll actually email a notification to you letting you know your customer viewed the quote for the first time. When they accept it, when they make payment, or if they post a comment, you'll receive email notifications for that as well. So if you accept credit cards or PayPal, this Pay Now button will be available. And when you click on that, that will bring your customer to the payment screen so the customer can make payment on the document. At this time, we do support about 80 different gateways. So we support the major ones like Authorize.net, First Data, PayPal is available as well. So if you use any of those, just go to the website. We have a complete list of all the supported gateways. And we even will tell you which ones we have confirmation that are definitely working, and then the other ones that should be supported, but we don't know if anyone's actually using those gateways that are available. So now that let's go back into QuoteWorks. So our customer accepted the quote. We're ready to move forward. So now QuoteWorks wants to convert this quote to an order. This is how we basically close a quote in QuoteWorks. So this is a very important step in multiple portions or multiple points in the QuoteWorks and Autotask integration, but just in QuoteWorks in general. When your customer accepts the quote, this is going to convert the quote to an order, and this is how we're closing that quote in QuoteWorks. So whether or not you're updating Autotask at this point, that's going to be up to you. That's a setting that you can set. But this is important for QuoteWorks because this is going to allow you to look for documents much easier. So if we click on our QuoteValet tab here, it's going to check for any updates. And then it'll let us know that this quote was accepted through QuoteValet and that we want to convert this quote to an order. Now, if you're not using QuoteValet, very simple. To convert a quote to an order is simply going to be on the File, convert to order option. So it's available to anyone, even if you're not using Quote Valet. To close your quote in QuoteWorks, you simply do File, Convert to Order. If you need approval, it would have already prompted you for that, so you wouldn't be able to get around that. And then now it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to convert this quote to an order? And then you're going to want to say yes. Now, by default, we change our quotes to close, but you could change it to 1 or something of that nature if you wanted to change that. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. And you can see now it's converted my quote to an order. And now what it's going to do, it's going to go back out to Autotask, retrieve that opportunity, and give us a chance to update that opportunity in Autotask. So now we can go through and say, okay, maybe we want to change a stage to waiting for contract, and maybe we want to set the status back to active because we're actually ready for them to do something, or maybe we're waiting for implemented, or maybe you have a different status. Whatever you want to set, that's going to be up to you, but you can change those adjustments here. So that's where you're going to make that change before it updates the Autotask opportunity. So if there's a specific stage in your process you want it to flag, specifically for doing a search when you're looking at the Autotask opportunities, you can set that here before you update Autotask. So go ahead and hit Save. So now it's going to update the opportunity in Autotask. At this point, if you're not using the purchasing functionality in QuoteWorks to create the PO or to place the order electronically with the distributors, you're actually pretty much done on the QuoteWorks side. You can now go into the opportunity in Autotask and actually run the opportunity wizard, the one opportunity wizard. However, if you decide that you do want to place the order electronically with QuoteWorks or actually submit the PO to Autotask from QuoteWorks, we're going to go ahead and go to the next step, which is going to be through our purchasing. Nicole has a good question. She's asking, where do you add the customer PO if not using Quote Valet? Nicole, you can attach it under the Sale Info tab, and there's a customer PO number, and that's where you can put that information in there. Darren asked if there's any change to set the default stage and probability when the Autotask opportunity is created for the first time. Darren, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but it's something that I can submit to development, or if you want to submit it to development, just let us know. That's something that we could probably look at adding. I don't know the complexities behind it since I'm not a programmer or a developer, but it's always something we're looking at. We always take feedback from users who are using the integration, what would make things easier. So if you have information like that, just let us know, and it's something that we can bring to development. Chris is asking, what's the best practice to track what has or has not been run through the One Opportunity Wizard? That's something that you would probably want to speak with your Autotask representative about. Typically, I would assume there would be some type of status that you could do a search by or set. I'm not too familiar with that portion of the Autotask since essentially our integration stops there when we stop at creating the opportunity and then updating it as closed or won or however you want to set it. So you'll probably want to speak with someone at Autotask, but that would be my guess, is using a specific stage to kind of flag that opportunity. So let's go ahead and go on to the purchasing. I do see a lot of questions, guys, so again, I apologize if I don't get to your question. We'll try to reach out, and I'll try to go back and answer as many as possible. If I don't get to yours, or if you have more questions about this specific topic or just QuoteWorks in general, definitely reach out to the sales or support team. We'd be happy to answer any questions for you. So we'll go ahead and we're going to go to the purchasing side of things now. So we're going to click on purchasing, and it's just going to let you know you need to close all open documents. So by default, and here, let me go ahead and center this one as well. It makes it a little easier for you guys to view. This is going to let you see your currently open orders and then submit the PO. Now, if I had pulled items from Ingram Micro, Tech Data, Synex, or D&H, I could actually place the order directly through QuoteWorks at this point. And simply what you would do is select your vendor, select your items, and then this place online order would be available. Since I didn't have either of those distributors or any of those distributors on this specific order, obviously that option is not available for me. Now, if you're using that option, if you have items from Tech Data, so let's say we go into our multiple orders, and let's go ahead and go to Tech Data and select a couple items. Now you can see that the place online order, create PO, is available. So if you're placing the online order and you want to create the purchase order, that's fine, because we're going to do both for you. So through here, you'll click on Place Online Order. This will bring you to the, in this case, Tech Data Online Order form. You can then submit the order, and then once it's been submitted to that specific distributor, it will actually prompt you to create the purchase order in Autotask at that point. So if you want to create the purchase order in Autotask at that point, you can. If you don't, so for instance, we have our Autotask, let's do our products, and we'll say today. So if you have just, for instance, items that you're sourcing from Autotask, maybe it's your own products or services that you're offering, this will let you just simply create the PO. So the place online order will place the order and then the PO. The create PO is simply going to create the purchase order in Autotask. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to click on create PO. And now it's prompting us for a PO number. So now we can put it in manually. You can also use the next designation in QuoteWorks if you'd like. So you'll see here there's an ellipsis button. If you click on that, that'll actually prompt you. It'll say, okay, do you want to use the next QuoteWorks PO number? We'll say yes. And then you can put it in there. Again, you can manually put in your own PO number if you'd like. So this is where you can actually set your PO number for the QuoteWorks purchase order. Now, this is not where you're setting the purchase order in Autotask. We are actually going to use the purchase order numbering sequence in Autotask. This is more just like your reference number in QuoteWorks. So when we create this, it'll actually tell me, hey, this is purchase order, 1225 or whatever number we're on in Autotask. It'll let us know. So we'll go ahead and we'll click OK. The one thing you'll want to see here is this is if you want to create the PO in Autotask. You have to have this box checked and you have to have this set. Now, if you're using QuickBooks or Sage 50, formerly known as Peachtree, to manage your purchase orders and you want to export them this way, then you just need to set that in your integration. And that's done under Tools Options, Accounting tab. You can actually set that purchase order integration. But since we're doing Autotask here, we're going to go ahead and leave it to Autotask and export the document over to Autotask. So go ahead and hit OK. And first thing it's going to do is go through and validate our items. And then here it's going to prompt you for your vendor in Autotask. So if it doesn't find Autotask products, it says, okay, this vendor specified on the PO is Autotask products, we'll simply want to add everything under Autotask Corporation. So we don't want to set it as just Autotask products. We want to do Autotask Corporation as our vendor for this one. And just put everything under one and hit OK. And then it's going to prompt you for the inventory location. So we'll say main office on our drop-down, and then click OK. And then you can see it's creating the purchase orders, and it's adding our PO items to Autotask, and then it's letting you know Autotask PO number 1051 was created. We'll hit OK. And then now you can see the items have been removed from my purchasing screen. They've been removed because now we've set a PO in Autotask, and we've submitted the PO through QuoteWorks. So now if we click on our Purchase Orders tab in QuoteWorks, we can actually see our purchase orders for today. And we can see that there's 3 of them. And we can actually see which ones we can source by vendor. So if you wanted to say, okay, let's just show me only my Autotask products vendor, that's just going to be this one purchase order here. And then it has my items. So on this purchasing screen, it's going to show you a couple things. First, it's going to show you if it's linked with Autotask or not. This means that it was actually submitted to Autotask. So if you're using QuickBooks or Sage 50 instead, it wouldn't have the Autotask link there. It would have the QuickBooks or Sage 50 link. The next thing you're going to be able to see is that you can manually add your tracking numbers or serial numbers or mark the items as received. So if you had submitted the order, maybe you used Amazon or something like that to place this order, and you got your tracking number, and then you wanted to put that information in QuoteWorks, that way if your customer calls and says, oh, can you look up this item, you can actually see the tracking number information, the serial number information, all that's going to be available here. So let's go ahead and just add a serial number. Say we got the serial number, and it's 456789. And then for this one, it's also going to be 789456. So we got 2 out of 3 serial numbers. And then we want to go ahead and mark them as received. We can do that. Now you'll see the quantity is going to let you know received 020105. So let's go back into Autotask. Close out of our opportunity here. And let's go to our purchase orders. David had a good question. He's asking, can you choose which warehouse at Tech Data before submitting the order? You can set a primary, David, like your primary warehouse that you want to source it from. but I don't think you can actually choose which warehouse it's going to ship from. But if you have your preferred one, then it will just ship from that one if it has available stock. And then there's different back order options for you. So in our inventory, let's go ahead and select our vendor here. So it's going to be Autotask and do search. So here's the purchase order that we submitted. So that's now available. And if we click on that, that'll actually open up the purchase order. So we can view that information. We can see quantity. All that information is available. So now one of the really nice features that we recently added was that you can go into Autotask and you can actually mark these items as received. So let's say we'll add a second serial number here. And let's go ahead and receive these items. So let's say we got both of them. And then we can update the serial number. And then you can see here it's marking 2 items as received in QuoteWerks. Now, I'm not sure if you saw that, but a quick message popped up saying, hey, we're receiving those items in Autotask. So if we go back into Autotask, and let's go ahead and search by our vendor, you can see now it's letting you know it's received partial. So there's also some that have received full. So if I had received all the items, it would actually mark them as received full rather than received partial. So this functionality is available in the latest release of QuoteWorks. So if you're looking to set this up or looking to use this functionality, just make sure you're on the latest version of QuoteWorks. We are adding some additional functionality with this here in the next release. I believe we're going to be writing the ship to information into the PO as well. So that'll be coming over in build 10, which should be out in a few days for anyone who'd like to download that version. And I'm just going to go through some of your questions here. We're not going to, Kunal, I see your question about if we're going to cover how to integrate Sage 50 with QuoteWorks. Not during this webinar, but there are videos on the website that will show you how to integrate between QuoteWorks and Sage 50. If you just go to our videos page and type in Sage 50, you'll be able to see the integration videos for that. It's also available under our CRM integrations or accounting integrations page. You can see our integration videos for that. We may do a webinar later down the road where we actually do focus specifically on that accounting system. I'm just going through a couple of the questions here. Ryan, I'm not quite sure I understand your question. If you can provide a little more information or just send me your contact info and we can talk offline. We'll see if we can get that answered for you. I'm just looking at a couple of the questions, so just bear with me for a moment. They're coming in pretty fast, so like I said, I'll try to answer as many of these as possible. Darren's asking if you're using QuickBooks for purchasing, is there still a way to integrate product received? Darren, yes, we do actually support with QuickBooks marking the items as received in QuickWorks and updating QuickBooks for that. So you do have to use the QuickBooks PO functionality for that to be available and set that to QuickWorks. So you can't use Autotask and QuickBooks for purchase orders. You have to use one or the other in order for us to mark it as received. Hope that's clear, but if not, just let me know. Jack's asking, is there a recording of this webinar for later viewing? Yes. Jack, we are recording this webinar, so this will be posted on the website probably tomorrow. We'll be sending out a link via email to everyone, but if you check back on the website tomorrow or Friday, it'll probably be available for you then. Sean has a good question. He's asking if he creates a quote in QuoteWorks and then that product already exists in Autotask, if we're going to duplicate the item or if it would just update it. It's just going to update it with the new information. So as long as the part numbers match, we won't duplicate it. That's how we check to see if a part exists, is by the part number in QuoteWorks. And that is the setting that you can actually adjust in QuoteWorks. So if you use a different field in the contacts, setup contact managers, Autotask setup, there's an option to make those adjustments. Yes, Chris, asking about the ship to information coming soon, if that will mean the Autotask POs created will have the sold to customer against them. It'll have the ship to information, not necessarily the sold to. So if they're the same, then it'll populate, but it'll be the ship to information that'll be coming through the Autotask purchase order. As long as they're all going to the same contact, if it's multiple contacts, then obviously it'll be a little different. Rob has a really good question. He's asking if it's possible to add a picture to your products and services in Autotask and save it to that product. In QuoteWorks, if you have a QuoteWorks database, you can set up items to have products or to have pictures associated with those products and services. When we link to databases such as the Autotask database, that functionality is not available. Now you can, once you've added the item to a document, manually associate a picture if you'd like, but unless you're pulling from Utilize or pulling something from a native database, there's not a way to save a picture for future use on any items that you're pulling from Autotask unless you've actually set those items up in QuoteWorks. Or again, if you're using the product content subscription through your Autotask products or services list, then we could pull pictures that way, but you can't set them like to save unless it's in a QuoteWorks database. Miguel's asking which add-ons did I show today. So basically, everything that we walked through today, we have the corporate edition of QuoteWorks, the real-time module, the product content subscription, and Quote Valet. So those 4 items. The corporate edition is required for the Autotask integration. It also includes a lot of purchase order integration information. The online ordering and the real-time pricing availability lookup is available through the real-time module. And then the product pictures, so you can see customer-friendly descriptions, marketing summaries, things of that nature. That's all going to be included in the product content subscription powered by Utilize. So basically, and then obviously Quote Valet for delivery and notification support via email for your quotes. Those 4 items is everything that I demonstrated today. All right, so I think that's all the time we have for today, guys. I do apologize again if I didn't get to your questions. Again, this webinar will be on the website probably tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday. We'll send out an email blast to everyone that signed up for the webinar once it has been recorded so that you guys can all get a copy of that. If I didn't get to your question, I do apologize. Please send over your contact information to me. Send us an email. Give us a call. We'll follow up with you guys. We'll be happy to answer any other questions. If you'd like a trial or something, just let us know. We'd be happy to set you up with that as well. I want to thank everyone for your time today, and you guys have a great one.